Welcome, Laurel Springs School. I'm Mary Marinville. I teach agricultural education here at Limomeira Ranch. And I'm here with Andy Coker, and he's part of Limomeira's farming operations. And we're very, very lucky to have him because he's a very busy guy. Limomeira is a very large ranch. And Andy's going to talk to us about farming operations, the science behind lemons, and a little bit about the journey of the lemon from here on the farm to you all around the world. And Limomeira is located in Santa Paula, California, which is known as the citrus capital of the world. And it was founded in 1893, that's 120 years ago. And is it true, Andy, that Limomeira grows more lemons than any other farm or ranch in North America?
Yes, that's correct.
And how many pounds approximately?
Well, this year we sold about 80 million pounds of lemons, and then this year's goal is somewhere around 130 million. That includes outside growers. That's not all fruit that we grow ourselves. That's fruit that we've either leased land from, or we are getting from other growers, and we pack it and sell it for them. But
wow, even so, even if you're not growing them all yourself, you're growing the majority of them, obviously. And 130 million pounds, between 80 and 130, that's pretty amazing. Now, how many acres of land does Limomeira have?
Well, in our southern farming ranches down here in Ventura County, we have about 2,800 acres of land that we farm. It's split about 1,500 acres of lemons, 1,300 acres of avocados. And then up north we have, I believe, somewhere around 800 to 1,000 acres of different varieties of citrus, and we actually grow, there's some pistachios and some cherries and stuff of that sort too.
So almost close to 8,000 acres Limomeira has. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about the science of lemons and the different varieties of lemons that you have. So Limomeira grows mostly Eureka and Lisbon lemons, correct?
Correct.
And I was told there's little to no difference between the two. What is the difference between, and what are these that we're standing right next to?
These are what it looks like is a, they're actually really hard to tell the difference between once they have matured. But this is probably a Eureka. Actually, this is a Eureka. You get more of a rounded fruit when they mature. On a Lisbon, you get more of a broad shoulder up on the top. And but once they reach full maturity, there's really no difference between the two pieces of fruit. Internally they're the same, externally they look the same.
And do they taste the same?
They taste exactly the same.
And their rind is the same?
The rind sometimes will look a little different. Lisbon will have some ridges on it that Eureka won't. Mm-hmm. Eureka's kind of more like it's smoother than a Lisbon. A Lisbon will usually have, a few ridges here and there, but like you see on this piece of fruit, it's just completely smooth and round.
Right. This tree is laden with lemons. I hope you can all see it from where you are, because this tree is covered. And when does a tree really start producing fruit? How old does it need to be? Because I know after a year they start producing a little bit, but when do they really start producing?
They usually reach full bearing in about 6 to 7 years.
6 to 7 years.
They start producing after a year. They'll start putting out a couple pieces of fruit after a year. per tree, and then it kind of just incrementally goes up from there. But about 6 or 7 years is considered full bearing.
Okay. Now, I know when you talk about citrus and lemons in particular, everyone is always talking about the rootstock. Can you talk to me a little bit? I'm always very impressed when I hear how old some of your rootstock is on the property. How old, and what can you tell us about the rootstock?
Well, we use several different types of rootstocks. Macrophylla is one of the main ones we use now. We use a Limomeira 8A Lisbon lemon on what we call just on Mac. That's usually what we plant on any new planting we do nowadays is what we do. The old ones, they used to use a lot of Allen, which is Allen is a type of Eureka lemon, and it was on a Macrophylla rootstock as well. They don't do as well. The Lisbon and Macs do a lot better.
So when you say not as well, they don't produce as much yield, they're not as productive?
They're not as productive, they don't last as long, and they kind of die off earlier.
Okay. So you use basically 2 different rootstocks then right now?
Well, we've got, there's different rootstocks like Dr. Strong, and there's Sweet Orange, and Swingle, and there's hundreds and hundreds of rootstocks.
Okay.
We probably on the ranch, just over the years and some of the orchards being as old as they are, we've probably got a variety of, I'd say at least 10 different rootstocks.
10 different ones, and so some of those rootstocks are 60 years old?
Yeah,
So that is also amazing, 60 years old. And so do you graft, okay, so you told us what a rootstock is, so what is a scion?
Scion is actually what you see here. This is the scion of the tree. This is what is grafted onto the rootstock, and it's basically, they'll take the rootstock and they'll cut a V in it, and then they'll basically make like a spear point out of the scion, and they will stick it in and they'll glue it and then tape it up, and it eventually will grow it'll fuse together and turn into what you see here.
Wow. So your rootstock has to be really healthy. The scion has to be really healthy. And then if they're both healthy, they'll just fuse together, and this is what comes out of it?
Yep.
What's amazing for me, and maybe after we get done here, we can walk down a little ways down here, because we are standing in Limomeira's demonstration orchard, and there's 150 different varieties of citrus in this orchard, which is absolutely amazing. So there's tangerines, grapefruit, lemons, Valencia oranges, navel oranges, even Buddha hands. And down on this strip, there's actually one tree that has oranges, variegated lemons, and Eureka lemons all grafted together. So tell us a little bit how you can do that. It doesn't matter, obviously. As long as it's citrus, they can graft together.
Yeah, some citrus, will take better when you graft on. Some don't take as well. That's why we did the kind of trial we did, just to see, how we can show people how you can graft different types, different scions, different types of actual fruit onto one tree. You can basically do like one on this tree that we have down here, one branch will be a Lisbon, and then the next branch might be a Eureka, then we might have a variegated pink lemon on the next branch and an orange on the next branch.
Where else can you find that in agriculture? You can't find like a walnut and almond and a pistachio tree all fused together.
No.
So it is fascinating, the science behind grafting and the science behind citrus. And one of the things we're going to do in the presentation for the students is take them on a journey of a lemon. And really the journey obviously starts here. And I always like to say that the journey starts with a blossom. And here we go, we've got a blossom right here, luckily, and there's also a little tiny lemon getting started. So how long between the time a tree blossoms till it's ready to be harvested, that's probably pretty ready, how long does it take to go from blossom to lemon?
It varies, but it's usually around, I'd say, 8 to 9 months.
8 to 9 months to go from blossom to harvested lemon. And in that time, it's got to be pruned, it's got to be irrigated and fertilized and taken care of. And I don't think we as a society appreciate how hard our farmers work to make sure that this tree stays healthy, that it's taken care of in that 9 to 8 months, because you want to make sure you're getting as much fruit off a tree you possibly can, because there's 7 billion people on the planet today. That's a lot of people, and we want to make sure that they all get fed. So so it takes 8 or 9 months. So this one looks like it's ready to be harvested, right?
Yes.
So this one would be what, about halfway?
Yeah, that's about halfway.
Okay, and so off of one tree, I don't know if you can also notice, I hope you can, you've got blossoms, you've got fruit that's ready to be harvested, and you've got younger fruit. So there's never, oh my gosh, perfect, perfect. So on one tree, you have all these different sizes. So how many picks in a year can you get off of one tree?
Some trees we can get up to 4, 5 picks on. A good block will produce, you know, they produce pretty much year round here on the coast, which is why we grow most of our lemons down here rather than in the valley. In the valley, you get, you know, 1 pick pretty much. You might get a second one if you do just, you go in and do a size pick, and then you can get a second one. Here we have, like, as she just showed you, you know, different size fruit all over the tree, so it's being picked all year round. And on a great block, you know, you can get up to 5 picks in a year.
Okay, 5 picks. So do you pick when you send your harvesters out? You pick block by block by block, and do you get to determine when the fruit is ready to be picked? Is that part of your job?
No, we actually have a lemon harvest manager who goes around and is constantly looking at all the different blocks, what color the fruit is, what size the fruit is, when it needs to be picked, and then he will set a schedule for when he's ready to pick it. As far as the lemons go, I'm just the farming aspect of it. I don't have anything to do with the harvesting schedule or harvesting basically at any point.
So once it's ready to be harvested, your job is done, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
You made sure that the fruit is healthy, it's ready, that it's abundant. You want to make sure. And so once it's ready, you're like, it's no longer your job.
Yeah.
Perfect. But you're in charge of the obviously the irrigation and fertilizing and things like that.
Yeah.
But you have a staff, correct? How many people help you on the 8,000 acres?
You know, we probably got close to 100 people.
100 people going out and making sure that the yield is really well.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I'm always impressed with is it's the 21st century and we have computers, we've got cell phones in our pocket, but the majority, not all of our fruit and veggies are picked by hand, but a majority of them are still picked by hand. We're still hunters and gatherers at heart. And our agricultural workers work so incredibly hard for us every single day to make sure that we have food in our grocery stores. And I have a few things that I want to show you. This is basically the tools that they use for harvesting. And can you explain what they use the ring for?
The ring is for a size pick. What they'll do is they'll come through and they will look for a piece of fruit that fits this ring size, and if it fits the ring, you know, it's here on this piece of fruit, it's pretty close. So this would be, you know, this is what's called a 9 ring. So they would say, oh, we're going to do a 9 ring pick in a certain block. They would come out here and say, oh, okay, you know, that's close enough, we'll pick that piece of fruit. But, you know, if they came through and went like that, you know, it obviously way too big, so they're not going to pick that piece of fruit, or, you know, a piece of fruit that's way too small. Right,
and then that's the clippers that they use.
Yes.
And there's a certain way that they want to pick as close to the fruit as possible, so they don't have any stem.
Yeah, when they pick, they try to get as absolutely close to the piece fruit as possible and leave, see, I didn't do a very good job there, but they want to get it as flat as it can be, because when it goes into a box, it's going to be mixed in with a bunch of other lemons. So if this has a sharp point on it, has a long stem, or it has a pull, then that's a problem, because a pull, you know, if they rip out this piece here on top, that's going to come off, and then you have the ability for certain types of rot to get in there, and bacteria, and the fruit can decay and it can go bad. But if it's left too long, it can actually puncture other pieces of fruit while it's in that box, and then the same thing can happen. You have a hole in the piece of fruit, and then that can lead to rot and decay and all sorts of other problems that you don't want, especially when you're exporting.
Right, right. So they obviously have to wear gloves, because if you did not know this, lemons have gnarly thorns. So they wear gloves, they use a ring, they use clippers, and then they put this bag over their shoulder, and this is what they use to harvest every single day. And this is a specially made bag. I don't know if you can see, but when the bag is full, it weighs 50 pounds, and all they have to do is unclip, and then there's a big hole in the bottom, and then they fill the fruit, put the fruit into these very large white crates that when they're
bins.
full, bins, and they weigh about 900 pounds. But I'm always fascinated by the harvesting process and that work, because I just think that we really need to appreciate our agricultural workers. And they will pick a piece of fruit that looks like this, that has some green on it. They'll pick one that's what's known as tree ripe, and they'll also pick green. And can you tell us a little bit about why they can do that?
Well, they're able to do that because, especially for export, when you're doing export fruit, it's going all the way to Asia or Europe or, across the world. So they have to pick it while it's green. And then once it goes in the packing house, they will do certain things to it to keep it so it will ripen, but it won't decay. And on it, you have to pick it that green. That way it will, by the time it gets there, it hasn't already ripened and just gone to mush. So I actually have, for our convenience, I have a chart, and they pick what's known as tree ripe, B silver, A silver, that might be A silver, and then light green, dark green, and extra dark. And it says here the extra dark can be stored up to 4 months, where this one would get shipped right away. Yes.
So this is the fruit that they would send to Asia or Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
And it allows it to be stored in the packing house for longer.
Right. Okay. So I think that we're good here. Thank you so much, Andy. And then I'm hoping that Andy will take us down to the tree so he can just show us for a minute the tree that has the orange, the variegated lemons, and the eurekas on just one tree. All right.
Of course.
Yeah. Hi again. We are still in Limomeira's demonstration orchard in Santa Paula, and we are standing now in front of a very interesting citrus tree. Can you tell us a little bit about this tree and the fact that it has several different varieties on one tree?
Yeah, this is the tree we were speaking about earlier, that has, each branch has a different variety of citrus on it. Here you can see, you've got there's an orange, and it's on this tree along with many other types. But here you see you got an orange, and then over here you've got what we call a variegated pink lemon.
And then over here there is this a Lisbon or a Eureka? Or it doesn't really matter, right?
No.
But this is all grafted onto one tree, and it's doing well, and it's healthy, and it's producing a lot of fruit. So that's an example of how you can graft different citrus together onto one tree. And then I wanted to close by looking at the inside of a lemon. The inside is citric acid and sugar.
Yes.
And obviously lemons have more citric acid than they do sugar content, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Much more citric acid than sugar content.
And this one has seeds, but some lemons don't have seeds. Is there a special thing that you do to prevent them from having seeds?
No, there's actually, they're different, basically different varieties. There's I believe 3 different types of seedless lemons. We have All three. They're kind of in experimental stages right now. Actually, one of our seedless blocks is right up the road up here, and they're not always completely seedless. For the majority of the time, you know, you cut open a lemon, you can slice it and slice it and slice it, and you won't find a seed. But you know, every couple of lemons, you'll find one that's got 1 or 2 seeds in it, but not like a regular Eureka or Lisbon. The seedless trees are a completely different variety.
Okay. So Limomeira grows, again, several different specialty citrus, but their main focus is Eureka, Lisbon, Meyer, and now a variegated pink lemon, which is just stunning. It's beautiful. It's got stripes and pink pulp on the inside. And so from here, the lemons, after they're harvested from the orchard, they go to the packing house and they go through different phases inside the packing house. And we'll talk to you more about that during the PowerPoint presentation. But thank you so much, Andy. I know you were up north at your other property earlier today. Did you get all the things done that you needed to get done up there?
I did.
Okay, that's good. And we so appreciate you talking to us and answering our questions. I know you're the expert, and we're just trying to learn as much as we can about where our food comes from, about agriculture, and about lemons, and in this case, Limomeira Ranch, and is located in Santa Paula, the citrus capital of the world. All right, thanks.